Lesson 15. Greek Gods and Legends. Greek Gods. The ancient Greeks believed in many gods and goddesses who they thought controlled different aspects of life. There were 13 major gods and goddesses in Greek mythology known as the Olympians. They included Zeus, Hades, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Aphrodite, Hephaestus, Hermes, and Dionysus. Greek gods were believed to reside on Mount Olympus, the highest mountain in Greece. Zeus was the king of the gods and the god of the sky and thunder. It's often depicted with a lightning bolt. Zeus was known for his power and authority, as well as his bad temper. He was a big old flirt and had affairs with both mortals and other gods, which made his wife Hera very jealous. As a result, he had many children who were both gods and demigods. Hera was the queen of the gods and the goddess of marriage and childbirth. As Zeus's long-suffering wife, she was known for her jealousy and often punished Zeus's lovers and their children. But when she was in a good mood, she often granted amazing favours to those she wanted to help. Poseidon was the god of the sea and earthquakes. He is often depicted with a trident and is known for his volatile temper. If you ever came eye to eye with a cyclops, it would have been one of his children. It was believed that he created horses from the sea foam. Hades was the god of the underworld. He is often depicted with a 3-headed dog called Cerberus. The origins of the name Cerberus in ancient Greek means spotted. So, the feared and evil god of the underworld has a dog called Spot. Hades was the brother of Zeus and Poseidon. He was responsible for judging the souls of the deceased and determining their fate in the afterlife. Either to Elysium, the Greek paradise, or the fields of punishment. Hades was very creative in which punishments he chose. Athena was the goddess of wisdom, courage, and strategic warfare. She sprang fully grown from Zeus's head because Zeus swallowed her mother whole to protect her from Hera's wrath over their affair. Athena is often depicted with an owl, which is why they're now associated with being wise. Ares was the god of war and violence. He was the son of Zeus and his wife Hera, and inherited both their bad tempers. Ares was depicted as a fierce and bloodthirsty warrior, always ready for battle. He is associated with chaos and brutality of war, and is known for his aggressive and impulsive nature. Despite his reputation, Ares was still worshipped by some ancient Greeks, particularly in the regions where war was a significant part of their culture, like Sparta. Apollo was the god of music, poetry and healing. He is also associated with the sun, and it was his chariot which pulled the sun across the sky each day. He was known for his beautiful singing voice and was the twin of Artemis. Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo and was his counterpart in the dance of the heavens, as she was associated with the moon. Artemis was the goddess of the hunt and often depicted with a bow and arrow. She is the protector of young girls and women and associated with childbirth and fertility, despite never having children herself. Aphrodite was the goddess of love, beauty and desire. She was born from the sea foam and often depicted with a mirror and a dove, roses and a seashell. Aphrodite's influence extends to both romantic love and the love between friends and family. Hermes was the messenger of the gods and the god of travel, trade and thieves. He was known for his speed and agility and often depicted with a winged sandals and a caduceus, which is a symbol of medicine. Hephaestus is the Greek god of fire, blacksmiths and craftsmen and volcanoes. He is depicted as a skilled and talented blacksmith, working in his forge and creating magnificent weapons and armour for the gods. He is also responsible for incredible feats of engineering. This was even more impressive because he was crippled from being thrown down the mountainside by his father Zeus in a fit of rage. Demeter was the goddess of fertility and agriculture. Her daughter Persephone was kidnapped by Hades and kept in the underworld until she promised to be his wife. Demeter was told that she could have her back as long as Persephone hadn't eaten or drunk anything whilst down there. Unfortunately for her, she'd eaten 6 pomegranate seeds, so Zeus ruled that for 6 months of every year she had to remain in the underworld. Demeter's grief is visible every year in the winter months, while Persephone is in the underworld. As she returns to her mother, Demeter's joy is demonstrated with the flourishing of plants and flowers. Dionysus was the god of wine, celebration, ecstasy and excess. He was associated with fertility and drunkenness, and so is often depicted wrapped in vines or with a wine cup. The ancient Greeks worshipped their gods through various rituals and practices. Temples. Greeks built temples dedicated to specific gods and goddesses. These temples served as places of worship and were often adorned with statues and offerings. Sacrifices. Animal sacrifices were a common form of worship. The Greeks believed that by offering animals such as goats or sheep to the gods, they could gain favour or appease them. Festivals. Greeks celebrated numerous festivals throughout the year to honour their gods. These festivals involved processions, feasting, music, dancing and athletic competitions. Prayers and offerings. Individuals would offer prayers and make offerings to the gods at home in temples. These offerings would include food, wine, flowers, or other symbolic items. Oracle consultation. Greeks sought guidance from oracles, who were believed to have the ability to communicate with the gods. The most famous oracle was the Oracle of Delphi, where people would go to seek advice and prophecies. Games and competitions. Olympic competitions such as the Olympic Games were held in the honour of the gods. These events were seen as a way to please the gods and demonstrate physical prowess. Mysteries and initiations. Certain cults and religious groups held secretive rituals and initiations such as Elysium mysteries, which were believed to grant participation special knowledge and favour from the gods. Votive offerings. Greeks would often leave votive offerings at temples or sacred sites as a way to express gratitude or seek divine assistance. These offerings would be small statues, jewellery or other personal items. Hymns and poetry. Greeks composed hymns and poetry dedicated to the gods, praising their qualities and recounting their myths. These works were performed during religious ceremonies and festivals. Pilgrimages. Some Greeks would undertake pilgrimages to sacred sites or oracles to seek divine guidance or healing. These journeys were seen as a way to connect with the gods and receive their blessings. Human sacrifice. The Greeks practiced human sacrifice, particularly in times of crisis or during religious rituals, where prisoners of war or criminals were offered as sacrifices to appease the gods. Hercules story, a legend about the demigod Hercules. Once upon a time, in ancient Greece, there was a mighty hero named Hercules. He was the son of Zeus, the king of the gods, and a mortal woman named Alcmene. From a young age, Hercules showed incredible strength and bravery. As Hercules grew older, he embarked on many adventures. One of his most famous quests was to complete the 12 difficult tasks known as the 12 labours. These tasks were given to him by King Eurystheus, who was jealous of Hercules' strength and wanted to test his abilities. The first labour was to slay the Nemean lion, a fierce creature with impenetrable skin. Hercules used incredible strength to strangle the lion and wore its skin as a protective cloak. For his second labour, Hercules had to defeat the 9-headed Hydra, a terrifying serpent. Every time Hercules cut off one of its heads, 2 more would grow back in its place, but with the help of his nephew Iolaus, Hercules managed to defeat the Hydra by cauterizing the necks to prevent new heads from growing. Next, Hercules had to capture a golden horned deer that was sacred to the goddess Artemis. The deer was incredibly fast, but Hercules chased it for a whole year before finally catching it. For his 4th labour, Hercules had to capture a giant boar that was terrorising the land. He cornered the boar and trapped it in a net before bringing it back to the king Eurystheus. The 5th labour was to clean the Eugaean stables, which housed thousands of cattle and had not been cleaned for years. Hercules diverted 2 rivers to wash away the filth in a single day, completing the task with his clever thinking. Hercules' 6th labour was to defeat a flock of man-eating birds with sharp beaks and claws. He scared them away by making a lot of noise with his bow and arrows. The 7th labour was to capture the Cretan bull, a powerful and wild creature. Hercules wrestled the bull to the ground and brought it back to King Eurystheus. For his 8th labour, Hercules had to tame the man-eating mares of Diomedes, a cruel king. He fed the horses their own master, Diomedes, and then calmed them down, making them gentle and obedient. The 9th labour was to retrieve the magical girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. Hercules fought off the fierce Amazon warriors and obtained the girdle. Next, Hercules had to capture the cattle of the monstrous giant Geron. With his strength and cunning, Hercules defeated Geron and brought the cattle back to King Eurystheus. For his 11th labour, Hercules had to steal golden apples from the garden of Hesperides. These apples were guarded by a dragon, but Hercules managed to slay the dragon and take the apples. Finally, Hercules faced his 12th and most challenging labour, to capture Cerberus, the 3-headed dog guarding the gates of the underworld. With the help of the god Hermes and the goddess Athena, Hercules managed to bring Cerberus to the surface and then returned him safely to the underworld. After completing the 12 labours, Hercules became a legendary hero and was admired by all. He taught us the importance of courage, perseverance, and using our strength for good.